what should we not experience? That which contracts rather than dilates our souls. Alex, come on in. Okay. That which alienates our awe. If one loses one's origin in awe, confusion begins at the beginning. As one's perceptions scatter, they need to be bundled together with belief by a self-dazzlement or hypnosis of accelerated random images manufactured to distract. This arch-awe scatters us to stave off the dread that we betray ourselves when we ignore who first we are. We are alienated from awe when products are valued at the expense of those who create them. In the chaos of things, then, to the cosmos of perception. From the kaleidoscope of whim to focused will, we are free to be bewildered or ponder what we please in freedom. Perhaps then, we must know our limits without living for them. Our choice of what or whom to notice is not a matter of aesthetic theory, but of life itself. It is not the once remove of art or a philosophic argument when we perceive one thing or soul and not the other. But when we are in a constant stream of choices on what or whom to focus, art suggests the creative freedom of our mind's metaphoric invention from the origin as our first celebration, our play, and philosophy, our wonder. Utility first perception disengages our freedom from its source to its use. As profit and acquisition interconnect alienated determinisms of another to screen the all from our apperception, so too the negation of all utility to disembodied paraphrase in romantic fog. What and whom we choose to perceive is how we spend our lives and time. If the guide, artistic or conceptual creation, reflects that freedom, we will affirm our brief sojourn here as practically as an empirical reduction, more so, given that this interest may splay our vision, splinter our focus, or, as in romantic paraphrase, we may prefer what will prop our affective fantasy into a waking dream, into illusion. Any discovery can be covered over as it arrives, but in beholding so as not to grasp, our envisioning of the possible makes, as it embodies a seeming mirage or fleeting image, dissolve from mere shimmer to an embodied actuality, as art. Art anticipates a new way to perceive immediately, to affirm life with freedom, just as we are, from the start, our origin in awe, in time. Philosophy is our understanding as it arrives, us, with our resolve. Through philosophy, we reclaim a mirror image to the real. This is the philosophy of the future, but also how to actively reinterpret the past, live, create, exhaust the present, to perceive the becoming of authentic novelty. Illusion resembles the visionary precisely by how it imitates. Yet a visual image can seem wrong well before we consciously judge it. It flashes or lingers to offend our taste well before our judgment. It hovers. The illusion beguiles, then offends, but to express why requires some experience and honesty as duplicity evolves with technology. Progress seems to occur in technology, but rarely in wisdom. We need to cultivate the means to critique quickly, lest it invade our mental theaters, just before it decays into kitsch. The visionary, by contrast, reflects back to our origins, to forward our future, striates out in flame, a precursing intuition, a Heraclitean fire, a Promethean foreseeing, and even if not slickly produced, its value immediately exceeds the Klieg lights of those, the spirit killers, who seek to obscure perceptual freedom. No one can encompass all knowledge. Yet, must one define oneself by how much one knows, or by the knowledge that evokes gratitude that one can know? If one notices first with gratitude, might one's knowing be less unfocused and scattered? Might the fineness of knowing echo a fundamental choice to affirm or deny, that one never take awareness for granted? We need not exhume total memory when perceiving from the full draft of being, precisely because the total mind is not a Pandora's nor a collection box. We need to focus but not contract, block, nor filter precisely that which will dilate our souls to an element of gratitude that we can perceive. We put our hand to our mouths, as did Job, to perceive the universe accurately. But this is the vigilance of awe, to restore original dilation of the soul, to risk radiance before its imitation. We are small in size, but not in imagination. For it is not our size, given the immensity of the universe, but our consciousness of it. Open to the all by awe, our noticing anticipates by making a poetic image to envision the possible. Philosophy conceptually understands as we catch up to our visions, if we have the courage to embody, to make them real. Without poetry, our noticing is no longer a making, but being made, or even being had by images with interest. Our vision as project either passes into cliché and product mimicry, anxiety, or we move on to create our next truth. When we keep a promise to ourselves to change how we perceive. Conceiving also means birthing. Philosophy conceives as we risk new ways to perceive. Contracted souls monopolize professions and trick the uninitiated with angel pen deflection, or issue control edicts reversing the time of conception into a hall of mirrors of received ideas. But to deflect here is to betray. It's elusive, but while a play of perceptions rush in or by, one may, with scant evidence of effort, with surety and speed, make a series of judgments occurring faster than the influx of sensation. When intuition suffuses long dilated experience, with the quick of the mind, while the soul's in repose, could this be wisdom? The all happens just beyond our ken. The rich English word for the limit of how far our understanding may venture without losing our way. We will never know the worlds into which we could plunge, the depth, beauty, and surprise, the knowledge gained, the joys surmised. We can splay or omnidirect every instant, yet we remain alone before the all. We espy an endless road, unknown loves, life's fluttering off, like windswept leaves. We try our best within our scope, not merely to see our mortal breath evaporate like a ghost on a mirror. We look through our window of intent to dwell within the trajectory of what we can perceive. We try never to exaggerate, rarely to exclude, and not to reify our finitudes, prejudices, our myopic self-interests, nor to contract our souls and to accept our limits, yet to perceive as broadly as the gods. As each note, intoned in a symphony, flows in a time signature or tempo, interpreted by the conductor and musicians for a performance, the conductor of intentionality, the self, signs with each intention. Each choice constitutes a style, inflection, a lilt, a unique take on experience, even at rest. We add a note or notes or a silence. Yet no one feature notice can stop the world's movement. Each fiber plucked, tapped, struck, each sound filament intoned reflects as it returns to the origin of time recognition, of how we perceive. So the performance of Logos evokes the full draft of being as activity to our once on earth, as a movement in time. To freshen our time perception allows us to witness and invent vast pluralisms, fresh multiplicities. The fear of being torn apart by experiencing too much, having one's wits blasted, is natural if our perception discloses only that which amplifies our alienation. But if dilated inward to our soul, as outward to the all, we can risk an astonishing variety of experience. A kaleidoscope suggests a multiplicity of worlds, a universe to be visited by whim, but what if by will? The childlike power fantasy is dual, a facile glitter of telescope perspectives, but if focused by awe, the delight in pluralism of perspective, a playful wonder at all the ways we can see anything, and perhaps the admission that these simple devices can only suggest what it is to experience it all. If awe is our momentary and original openness and dilation of soul, its ongoing, imminent integration, we originate ourselves every moment we immediately intend. No matter what planet or within what solar system we draw breath, we will occupy a corner of a vastness onto which we tack zeros to unimaginable distances. Yet to know we exist is already a miracle. Shall we reconsider miracle? May we reel it in like an ionospheric kite from a violation of physics or a transcendent that so violates logic and common sense that we shall kneel in abeyance, stretch the eye of credulity, and believe in nonsense? In the great word robbery, miracle must be in the forefront of losses to religion and to self-proclaimed shamans and self-bedazzled saints. The miracle is we live. And lest we forget, our true friends in deep counsel, please call us out to remind, poke, paradox us with the sublime largesse of immanent kindness, not only to know, but feel again that every grain of experience is our first moment. Entrez. Noticing is the great democratic experiment to which governments or small egalitarian communities, even lovers, aspire. Can I say it again? Noticing is the great democratic experiment to which governments or small egalitarian communities, even lovers, aspire. Noticing, not ideology, religion, nor the nation state, is our greatest community. Kant mentioned a sensus communis, or an invisible community, of everyone who has taste, if they judge something beautiful, if not reflecting a private self-interest. But why limit this community to taste and the beautiful, or to aesthetic experience? Awareness is our first community. Everything that has, does, or will ever happen presupposes someone is aware, someone notices. From the advent of awareness, from our long rise up and into consciousness, from researches in every art and science, from the most intimate individual experiences, what is happening reveals what is noticed. In this brief experiment on Earth, from our origin in awe to the kaleidoscope of simultaneity, we notice, focused by the experimental medium for the invention of metaphor, poetry, even if every metaphor has a moth's life before the insect flame of novelty. We aim our arrow each day to issue a new awareness. Our intent whispers as it sails past our ears. We walk the shore of becoming. We spread our canvas wide to paint, sing, to play, to create from nothing a passing image of our courage to be surprised. And listen for the cascading transport across the world of those who risk perceiving beyond themselves. Without weather vanes or radar, we dwell within the trajectory of what we can perceive, not to favor the familiar, but to sift dust from our horizons, slip out the mirror of self-consciousness with its facile glitter, to delight in radical invention, the playful wonder at all the ways we perceive anything. If we attach ourselves like barnacles to the hull or prow of a ship, without dwelling on its deck, or better, in the captain's quarters, we will take emotional paraphrase filtering through our bodies for love. We mistake a biologic or socially conditioned response for mind and soul. Our noticing, least to our professions, feels alienated, wearying, our awe shrouded in nostalgic mist, until their rapprochement, radiance, rises, exotic, but wise, ancient, like the sun visible after a long solar eclipse. If we collect experiences like seashells to stand in for or to replace the ocean, opt for nostalgia or the fastidious owning of objects, we deny experience itself. Neither need we beg the sky to rain down constellations of meanings, tablets, scripts, maps on which our fates are written to determine the architecture of our destiny. And what of two dilated souls? This is the stuff of poetry. This is love. And to answer the why of existence by which the all blossoms like myriad fireflies glittering amidst unknown souls around a darkened globe. We often blink at dawn, but why trade wild fields for hothouse flowers? We are all amateurs in expressing the ineffable, though approached in gestures and too often in partings. We can strap our lives in, contract, perhaps quote the famous dead in an imaginary lexiconal pageant, while neglecting the most talented and revolutionary of our contemporaries, each other. We explore without worshiping. We value, not idolize. We are the authors of the uncanny. If we risk dilation, our space is potentially as vast as the universe. We delight not in commercial advertising skill, nor the agog worship before the reified enigma of awe as an icon, but when we greet each other in this ephemeral life with fresh irony about its point. We need not scale corporate ladders, hoard gold, nor slave for fame. We do not need to be stars. The star is experience.
Are you going to referee the fireworks and the fireflies and the shooting stars of
Well, in that spirit, I guess I'll just say that was wonderful. Thank you. I think it's rather unusual for all of us to, even though many of us are following the text, which I think is a good idea to have the text available in these situations. But what a privilege it is to hear the voice of the philosopher speaking, or the voice of the poet speaking in his or her own voice. It tells so much about the work and the intention and what it really is, and also establishes an effort to reaching us in communication. The spoken voice is like a mantra which continually is searching for the other. So we're very privileged and happy to have George here coming and speaking the text to us. So I just wanted to say that. But in terms of going forward, the idea, I think, in terms of the structure of the evening, is that after George's reading, that we would have maybe a kind of a Q&A, anyone can start, right? And then we would retire to the other room and have some food and drink and have a chance to speak more informally with one another.
Let's not retire, but leave.
Or skip, yay. But anyway, let's just open the space to whoever has a question or a comment. Right, George?
Did it make any bloody sense?
Yeah, a lot of it did, George. It's just that you have such the way what you're describing together is like these waves, and when I can latch onto it, when I can sort of allow what's behind the words to come through, I love it, you know? And I think we may be, you're talking about it in a very elaborate way. And when I look at it, I can only see it in a much simpler way, you know? And I'm astounded that you capture all these various ways of coming at it, you know? But essentially, I think part of what you're saying is that the real experience is non-conceptual, it's primal, right? That afterwards, it's conceptualized rather than the other way around. It can be the other way around, where it comes through you in a certain way, but it's still the essential experience that then gets framed in a concept, in an idea, and then, what do you do with it?
The idea is that we're in time, and that being is a becoming, and that we envision, and philosophy or our understanding is a way to embody the vision as we go.
Yeah.
So you have visionary experience of poetry first, and then philosophy understands from our perspective in the present as we
Yeah,
go.
but what is the poetry?
It's envisioning.
But isn't it an experiential kind of thing?
Yes.
Okay. Because that's what a poem does for me. It gives me an experience, or a piece of music, or a work of
Right.
of art.
I'm using the word poiesis, the ancient Greek for making,
And see, you're
as
very-
creativity itself.
You're very knowledgeable with all of that.
Sorry, Alan. I never played a guitar like you, man.
Don't be sorry. It's a beautiful thing. But, some of it is way up there. The real, the sort of academic philosophers. I sort of lean.
I'm a scholar, not an academic. I'm a scholar for the working day.
Well, I can see that, but you deal with those elements as part of your tool set.
Yeah.
Cool.
No, you're cool. No, you're cool. Anyone else want to say anything?
Yes. I'm an artist, and I see art as embodying experience. You experience the world and you embody it. And philosophy is, I see it as a conceptualization of experience.
That's fine. Yeah.
So, now, what you're
I'm
saying-
suggesting that art exists. I don't have the where's the card? The cone of the psyche, but that a way to reflect back. Oh, it's so tiny. Well, you can't see it, but. Oh, you have it right there. That art reflects, the Chinese saying, the eye cannot see itself. What makes perception possible cannot be itself perceived. But that's the origin of our perception, which I'm calling awe. I mean, the way I'm using the word awe is not an affect. It's not an emotion. It's almost like, hadaka, or suchness in Chan Buddhism, or, poiesis by the Greeks.
Beholding.
Or, so out of what I call the inset flame of novelty, the origin of consciousness, art is here to reflect back to that. And to be original is not somehow wildly mysterious, it's to be in touch with the origins of consciousness.
And I think we should say awe is that for me, anyway, is actually the origin for my art anyway. It's the childlike awe in experience, color, form, shape, sound. So in that awe, in that perception of the universe, the artist, in my opinion, creates, embodies, incarnates a work of art, a pianistic piece like the composer here created just before, painting, a poem, a performance, and dance. So the awe is the experience and then the embodiment of art. And I see there's a dichotomy sometimes with philosophy and art, where sometimes the philosophy is a extrapolation on some conception of experience, where in that art, for me, seems to be much more truthful, ultimately, in the sense that it is there, it is a creation in time and space of an experience, as opposed to a conception. Although, that can be argued.
Well, I have a visual artist here and a musician there, and the distrust of conceptualization is palpable. However,
Now, of course,
Well, because in order to get to the creative place, you have to jump into nothingness. really
I've been frying enough in this ever since I was first born,
Really? That Carlo.
It wasn't evident
Carlo
the first time
he's
you met
the
him?
most be here now guy that I ever met in my life.
Carlo-
It's just,
Carla's better than me. I mean, like, I just give up. Let me auto-crucify right now.
it's not really.
I would like to take gentle issue with the idea that philosophy and conceptuality is somehow disembodied from our becoming in time as humans. I think that
Although I'm
philosophy...
not saying that.
Uh-huh. Well, okay, good. But let me say something about conceptualization. I think that abstract propositions, linear thought, logic as conceived as mathematics, is an imitation, very much like clock or calendar time, as discrete moments, is an imitation of time, or a derivation from an ontological or essential being as becoming. That we are our time on Earth. Clock or calendar, people think that's time. But time is coextensive with our being once here on Earth, and it's really it. And so it also is in physics, etc. But very much like that, conceptualization has been alienated from all. So that many, I've been in a lot of philosophy departments where usually the guys have been beaten up at recess and they're really resentful and they want to wrestle you down and humiliate you with their know-how tools of logic. And I think it's a great ripoff of what philosophy is. It's that's why I do make a distinction between an academic, which is about the profession, and a scholar, or what philosophy is. I think philosophy is incredible. And the philosophy of Salon is, everyone is philosophic, and when they are utterly inspired, I would say in awe, of existence. And then when you start to think, it's not disembodied or necessarily abstract at all. The thinking or the discourse with one's mind is the love of wisdom.
No, I love philosophy. I read it all the time and study it. And as an artist, I
Was that too uptight?
Yeah.
Like I was like, hey, philosophy was.
Let's hear from some other people and
All right, go ahead,
set up
sir.
a little more. Yeah.
It seems to me that philosophy used to have two departments. One is to describe and the other is to prescribe. And contemporary philosophy seems to me to be only describing and not prescribing. I'm interested in your thoughts on that.
Well, I'm very influenced by phenomenology, which is the logos or description of phenomena. I think description is better. Prescribing is running around telling people what to do. We're free.
Or prescribing possibilities.
Well, that's cooler.
They're often a fork in the road, and which fork are you going to take it?
Well, the philosopher isn't there telling you to take that one fork that will lead you into instantaneous nothingness or something.
That's not bad.
Okay, good. Yes, indeed.
Talking about
Is it Ashley Bartlett?
talking about your influences, would you say that you came to the philosophy that you described and what you just said? Would you say that that came from your experience in time as a person over time, or do you think that that was something that you came to in a catalytic moment, like a moment in which you were dilated? Do you think that that's something that...
I think it's both. I mean, I don't want to reduce it to my biography or something, but and I think this philosophy has taken me years. I mean, 25 years to develop, but I was already writing songs about awe, and then much earlier having experiences of them. I think we all have.
So you feel
And I'm
like-
fascinated by how we lose it, and how our noticing is least to our professions, and that we're doubly alienated from our noticing and awe.
So you'd say
You
that
get
you
angry.
kind of began with it and you kind of needed to find the language to express it, or do you think that these are elements that you kind of learned from experience or picked up from along the way? Do you think that this is something that...
Am I hedging to say both two times? I think both those descriptions are great. It should be a deja vu. If anything's any good in philosophy, it should have been, you've already had that experience and somebody's put it into words freshly, and they like, I was already thinking that. But there's a startlement, there's a surprise to it that has been said, and you didn't say it yet. If it's, that's what I'm going for.
I'm sorry, this reminds me of the first time I kind of brought E equals MC squared. Well, of course. I'm kidding.
George, what is this, everything that has, does, or will ever happen presupposes someone is aware, someone notices. Okay. What, before the microscope or the telescope, was that there? I mean...
The there-ness is impossibly hypothetical unless someone can be aware of it. The tree falls in the forest,
Right, yeah.
a universe exists, and there's no consciousness of it.
Well...
I kind of am ascribing, with reservations, or also kind of marveling at the anthropic theory of the universe, which is suggested in Stephen Hawking's Brief History of Time, where he's saying the universe is here to be noticed. And it seems tautological, that is A equals A, like, is that really saying that much? But in the paradox of it, and the anthropic theory is that I don't really understand it. I'm trying to sound smarter than I am at this
Could you
moment.
say
in terms
the
of astronomy.
universe is there because we notice it?
That's good too. Alan, it was so felicitous. It's not playing positive with your conceptual inventions, Suppose that awareness is it. That I had this idea about the great word robbery, and I applied it with miracle in the speech. You could do it with God. I know this sounds totally overblown, but suppose that God is every time awareness occurs, or there's consciousness, and then this guy sets himself up, and this guy's, right? Go ahead.
I kind of want to challenge this idea. It's not because you notice or be aware that it is, and it doesn't mean it's true. For example, human eye, for what we know so far, see three primary colors. Many species